Now, my goal for this year is to crack 50,000 downloads on one episode. And my next guest, Amanda McEwen, is going to help me get there. She's a rising star property developer. No, she's not. She's a star property developer. She's done 90 developments herself. But it didn't always start that way for Amanda. 10 years ago, she was tied to a full-time job, had 3 kids and a big mortgage, and thought, you know what? I'm not busy enough. I should get into property development. Now she teaches others how to do it. Amanda McEwen, welcome to 10 with Ty.
Thanks so much for having me.
Very good. Now tell us, how did you get into property development?
My whole property journey started when I had my 3rd child. So I have 3 children really close together. So they're now currently 14, 15 and 16. But back when this property journey began, I had 3 under 2.5. Wow. And I had to put them back into childcare because I had to work. We had a big fat mortgage. And I went to a job I didn't enjoy because I had a really big fat mortgage that actually needed 2 incomes to support it. So that got me searching for different wealth creation strategies. So I started down the property investment path because that's all I knew and it seemed to be the most common way to start. So I bought 3 investment properties in 3 years. But then what happened is it actually ended up tying me to my job because I had my big fat mortgage, but now I had $1.5 million investment debt as well. And as you all know, when you've got investment debt, you need to be able to service that up. And we were already at capacity. So our dreams of buying 10 properties, selling down half in 10 years and living off the passive income was crushed because we'd hit the bank's glass ceiling. So that then got me looking at different other strategies because I really wanted to get out of my job and have that time with my kids while they were young. So that was really the driver. But in order to be able to do that, I had to get rid of my mortgage. So then I started dabbling in renovation. They were fun. So I was dropping my kids off to childcare, racing to my reno site, dropping all materials off, meeting trades, rushing to my job, picking up my tired girls at the end of the day and sneaking in a visit to Bunnings during lunch hour. It was absolutely nuts. And I made money, right? I made 20, 40, 60K here because I would renovate and flip units. But what happened is that I actually became even more time poor and I wasn't creating the sort of income that was going to help me eliminate my mortgage and get my control over my time. So I kept on looking, kept on going to seminars and investing in myself. And I was trying to find renovation sites off market. So I'd invested in a program. I went to an educator to learn how to find off market deals and understand the option strategy. I've been a big person and always investing in myself to learn from other people who are doing what I want to do. And it was in that room that I got educated about the concept of property development. It never even crossed my mind because for me back then, property developers were magnates, right? They drive the fast cars, they've got big pots of gold and they can fund their deals. And that certainly wasn't me. I was a mum of 3 crazy little toddlers at the time, big fat mortgage, massive investment debt, certainly didn't have the pockets of gold. And I was driving a Kia Carnival minivan with my little kids in the back. I was hardly the picture of a developer. But what I liked about it was that the concept really seemed to connect with me in some way. Sort of, even though I hadn't done it, I actually felt like I'd finally found the wealth creation strategy I'd been looking for because from what I had heard, it was a strategy that didn't seem to take a lot of time because you weren't having to go to Bunnings and go and get materials and meet the trades because builders did all that.
Yep.
And I wasn't having to map it all out because my designers do all that. Anyway, the concept of property development made sense. But what really made sense was the lucrative returns that are attached to that. So I paid $40,000 to learn about how to do property development. But I was being taught the big end of town. And at the time, I was swayed by the educators mentioning about funding deals. And I thought, okay, I can use the money to do deals. And in reality, that didn't happen. But what I did is I took what I'd learnt and applied it to small-scale property development. So when I say small-scale, I'm talking about 1 into 10. They're getting 1 block of land and putting anywhere between 1 to 10 different houses on that, whether it's land subdivision or townhouses or single homes or whatever. But that's what I classify as small-scale property development. And so because I'd invested $40,000, right, I sure as hell was going to get a return on that investment. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to get a 10 times return on that investment in 24 months because it took a lot of convincing to get my risk-averse husband on board as well. So I wanted to make sure that I got return on that. So anyway, I was out sending out letters. I'd send out 200 to 300 letters a week, trying to find deals off market. Plus I was going to realestate.com. Anyway, someone responded to one of my letters and that ended up becoming my first deal. And it was going to be a simple hammerhead or battle axe block. I was able to talk to the owner, and we had a conversation around me buying the whole place. And he said, okay, if you buy the whole place, $550. If they kept the house, because they weren't quite sure if they wanted to move out, and I'd put try and put 2 on the back. And if council said no, I'd put 1 on the back. So I was going to give him $150 if I could put 1 on the back, $180 if I could put 2 on the back, and $550 if I could take the whole site. So they decided to say he needed some money just to be able to shut the doors on his cafe. He needed $20K. It was losing money and causing him a lot of stress. So I went through council, they said no to 2. So I spoke to him and we ended up agreeing to convert the option to a residential contract. And I was going to give him $150K. That was Monday. Anyway, on the Thursday, I got a call from his wife, and I was in the big W aisle, 3 toddlers running around my ankles. Like, you imagine how chaotic that is. And I received this call, and it was his wife. And she said, look, I saw you spoke to my husband on Monday. And I said, yeah, we agree. I'm going to be transferred. We're going to execute the option, and I'm going to transfer you $150K next week to, then I'll start the subdivision and all that sort of stuff. And she goes, well, actually, he passed away 2 days ago. He had a massive heart attack and died. And it still sends shivers down my spine. But how she had this clarity of thought to even have this conversation at this point in time, she goes, look, I can't stay here. I've got to go and somehow rebuild my life. Can you just please take the whole site? And she had a lot of comfort in that. She already knew what that price was going to be because we had those conversations earlier. So what was going to be a simple hammerhead block ended up being a 5 site. So I ended up building out those 5 homes, so 2 at the front, 3 at the back, and within 15 months of me paying that $40,000 to educate myself, I banked my first project. It banked me $447,000. It took a massive chunk out of my mortgage. I had to leverage the equity in my home to be able to fund that deal, but I learned a lot on the way, and I ended up getting a second deal that I ran in parallel using family money, and that banked 6 weeks later, which was $187,000, and that wiped my mortgage out completely. So I went from having a massive principal place of residence debt 18 months prior to suddenly having it gone. And not only that, I was able to say goodbye to my job and have full control over my time and pull my kids out of childcare and start being the parent that I wanted to be when I decided to have children. And from then onwards, that was 2015, October 2015, life as I knew it changed completely from then. And so my main driver when I started doing this, all I wanted to do was get rid of my mortgage, because what happens when you get rid of your mortgage is like a cash flow accelerator effect. So if you think about the bank, how they would pull out your interest every single fortnight or month, what was happening is when I paid my mortgage off, that money stayed in our bank account. So it's like instant paydays. It's incredible. You don't actually even think about that because you're thinking just about getting rid of the mortgage without even really understanding the cash flow impact of that. So it really did change our financial circumstances a huge amount. But for me, once the mortgage was gone and I had control of my time, it just gave me so much more space to be able to say yes to a lot more things, but also just have control over my time, volunteer in the canteens, kids' canteen if they wanted to. You get so much mileage from your kids if you work behind the canteen when they're little. So I used to do that, just go to excursions and do things that I just wouldn't be able to do if I was still in the corporate world. So that was really a very quick snapshot of my journey and then from there it just started developing more and started using money partners and joint venture partners. And I even now when I think about I've created over 8 or 9 homes, it blows me away because when I started, all I wanted to do was get rid of my mortgage. And now I'm in such a fortunate position. And I guess when, people start seeing success and people start asking questions and wondering how you did it. And that was what people were asking me to teach them about how to do what I've done. And that's what led to me creating the Rising Star Developer right when COVID hit in March of 2020, to be able to teach other people how to do what I've achieved. And that's a whole new journey now. And it's been amazing to be able to help other people have a similar experience to what I had when I paid my mortgage off as well.